So now let's look at the socialist economy. And so to begin with the socialist economy, it is entirely the opposite of capitalist economy. Here, everything is owned by the government instead of private, and instead of profit motive, everything here is welfare motive, right? So the two words for socialist economy is government and welfare. All the material means the production, that is the factories, the capital, the mines, etc., are owned by the whole community represented by the state. So there is a central planning authority who decides on allocation of resources, and therefore market forces have no role in the allocation of resources as compared to the capitalists, where market forces were everything and there were free market forces there. Thus, the following are the characteristics of a socialist economy. First, collective ownership, or to say social ownership, and thus it strives to attain socio-economic benefits, and there is no profit or no self-interest motive. The second characteristics is the central planning authority. As we have already discussed earlier, that there is a central planning authority and who takes the decision of allocating the resources, saving the resources, investing the resources, where to invest, what to do, right? Third characteristics, absence of consumer choice. In a way, what happens is that hunger problems and other problems are resolved in this economy, works on social welfare, but there is a selective production as decided by the central planning authority. So in a way, the luxurious goods may not be produced, and as it will not be given preferences, and what would be having given preference to? The necessary goods would be having preferences, right? So the central planning authority will give a lot of preference to the necessity goods and a very less preference to the luxurious goods. So every customer is not catered to properly, and there is no customer's choice. Fourth characteristics, relatively unequal income distribution, right? In capitalist, there is a huge income distribution gap, but here there is less income distribution gap, or rather I can say everyone is having equal income distribution. Fifth characteristics, minimum role of the price mechanisms or the market forces, right? As CPA is the deciding factor, the CPA is the central planning authority, is the deciding authority, and thus there is no market driven by the CPA. There is no market driven authority. There is nothing like a price mechanism or anything. Now let's quickly dive into some merits of this. Equal distribution of wealth, good point. Better utilization of resources, as actually necessities are given more importance than the luxury goods. Minimum standard of living of everyone, because income is equally divided between a lot of people, and the social welfare is taken care of. But there are some demerits also. The first coming bureaucracy, corruption, as power is in the hands of one person, restricts the freedom of individuals. You won't see people here having a lot of startups, having a lot of dreams, because everything is owned by the society and everything is for the benefit of the society only. No right to private property and no freedom of choice. So this sums up the socialist economy, which is also called as the command economy or the centrally planned economy. Again, these are the two important words that are asked a lot on the MCQs. China is one good example, right? China is one good example of a socialist economy. And also, all the problems of central economic, that is what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, and to save or to invest or to produce, is being taken care of by the CPA, Central Planning Authority. Finally, we have reached the mixed economy, which is nothing but a mixture of the capitalist and the socialist economy. And so our country, India, Bolo Bharat Mata Ki Jai, works on coexistence of private as well as public sectors. At one end, we have BSNL, and on the other end, we have Airtel, Vodafone, Reliance, etc., etc. So such economies work on dual motive, as well as profits, as well as welfare. So now, as you know, that mixed economy is nothing but a combination of the capitalist and the socialist economy. We can actually look into the characteristics of a mixed economy. The first characteristics is there is a coexistence of public and private sector. In fact, there is a third sector too, and that sector is the combined sector, where both public and private work together on a same mission. If you would have read the newspapers lately, you would have come across a word, PPP, public-private partnership. Now, this is a great example of the combined way of working. Let's look at the second characteristic, is existence of a economic planning authority. There is an economic planning authority in the mixed economy. Third characteristic, there is also price mechanism, right? Because it is both capitalist as well as socialist, there is going to be both of them. And fourth, there is a positive role by the government, because the government wants to develop as well as to do social welfare. Now let's quickly look at the merits. It gives individual freedom. It gives us safety from economic fluctuations. It reduces inequalities of wealth. But there are some demerits also. First demerits, it is very hard to operate. Look at India, how hard it is to operate something in India, right? And second, there is problem of favorism, right? Whatever we favor, whatever the central planning authority favors, only that is going to boom. Mixed economy was best described by Schumpeter as capitalism in the oxygen tent, right? All these capitalist people are confined, and that's why it's called capitalism in an oxygen tent. However, there is one more definition from the common world, is that mixed economy is a trick of the capitalist people to cheat the working class people by offering them temporary advantages like social security, etc., etc. So this sums up the mixed economy and all three of your economies. Please go fast and solve all the MCQs.